They're in goo. Yes, Bear. Dice in goo. Why would you put dice in goo? I don't know. But it's awesome.
Join the team.
Hey, theMCGuiRE Review, and today we're going to take a look at a brand new offering from Norse Foundry. Now, if you don't know who Norse Foundry is, they are an awesome company that make dice, as well as a number of other different types of things, but primarily they are known for their dice. If you go to any major tabletop gaming convention, you'll generally see Norse Foundry there. They will have a booth, maybe even more than one booth. And I look forward to seeing them when I go to Gen Con every year and picking up a new set of dice or something. I've got a number of Norse Foundry dice and different types of things. But they did recently do a Kickstarter where they funded this concept of dice in a little cube of goo, which I think was a pretty creative thing. I do have one of the sets out of the goo here so we can take a look at it. A little bit up close here in a second with the side-by-side cam. Bear will hit us with that and do that work because he's so good at it. Okay, and then I do have another set here that is still in the goo. You will see that each one of the dice come in a little plastic, one of those little plastic bags down in the goo. And we'll talk about that here because we're going to look at the product. We're going to look at kind of a little bit of a review, and then we're going to look at what I think, like from a marketing perspective, is actually really, really good here with this. So this is what came in the Kickstarter that the items that I backed and I got 2 sets. These other little goodies were these were the boxes that came in, which I thought the boxes were designed actually pretty nicely as well. But there were some other little things they threw in. And get this little sticker here, which was pretty awesome. And then this lanyard. I'm going to pop it out. I've been waiting to pop it out here for the video. It just kind of comes out like that. And it's a really nice little lanyard, and it's got the gelatinous cube, and I like it that it's an orange. That's cool. It's got the gelatinous cube sort of things all the way around the outside of it. You'll see little axes and shields and swords and crystals and diamonds and all kinds of little things. It's just your standard lanyard. It does have a nice nice plastic clip here. So I will definitely take that to Gen Con with me, and I'll use that. I'll wear that for something over the course of the week. So that was a nice little add-in. And then you got a little, I'll put these over here. You got a little card they threw in, says Norse Foundry. I thought this was a nice little touch here. Thank you, Adventurer. And then inside, there's just a couple, mainly promotional things, but I thought it was pretty cool. They put this really nice Norse Foundry sticker. So I got another sticker. I didn't know I was going to get that. I'll put that on my laptop more than likely. And then there are 3 different sort of promotional pieces in here. They've got like some virtual tabletop tokens, and there's some music and different things that you can check out. They have here in this card, okay? And those are all that didn't come with the Kickstarter. Those are all just kind of standard things that they have and they offer. So that was a nice little touch. I always like that when companies kind of throw in the little thank you card. And then you do have the dice. So what we'll do here is we'll start with the 2 here because they gave a number of different offerings with these dice. They are very high quality metal dice. These are all metal dice, which is something that Norse Foundry is known for, high quality metal dice. They've got gem and glass and all those other things as well, but they're very much known for their high quality metal dice. And they did come in the goo, as you can see here. They offered some that were like this, and you'll see on the side-by-side cam, that are what they call their, I can't remember exactly what they called it on their Kickstarter, but it was like translucent. It was supposed to be designed in a way that it looked like you were sort of looking through it. So what you'll see there on the side-by-side cam is the little items that are inside each one of the little number areas don't have really like an outline or a coloring to them. So they kind of look like they're just sort of inside of the die. And the set that I wanted to take out of the goo and actually use, I wanted it to be like that. And I loved sort of the classic, acid gelatinous cube green, and that gold I thought looked really, really nice. It just had a real pop to it that I thought, get that out on the table and it's going to have a really, really good pop to it. I'm trying to be careful with these because I didn't put any, you don't want to roll these metal dice just on a table. They are chunks of metal. They will ding and nick your table up. So, you want to use some type of dice rolling tray. There's tons on the market. But be careful with them here on the table. And then I will have my little goo that I'm left with, and this is how much goo is in the jar after I took everything out. It was more like this when I started. It was pretty much to the top, but after I took everything out, that's about how much goo was left. I will keep this. I mean, it is goo, but I mean, it's just like any type of goo, right? That's like your standard, toy kind of goo. It's not like, I found that it's not like that slimy goo. It is a little like rubbery, but if it gets hot, right, it is going to get a little slimier if it gets hot. And we'll talk here about some of the things that I think happened to some folks because got a little goo on the table there. It's never good to get your goo on the table. Know what I'm saying? Okay, that was one type of style, and then the other style that they had was different colors, but they actually had a glow-in-the-dark style. And on these dice, and again, you'll see on the close-up cam, the little items that are on each one of the numbered faces are kind of colored in a little bit, so you can see them and they look like they're sort of sitting on top versus like inside the die, just transparent, translucent. But these actually glow in the dark, and I went with the blue and the silver. I thought that would look really good, and you will see some images I can pop in here. They glow in the dark phenomenally well. It's just like anything that glows in the dark, as soon as you kind of hit the lights or you take it away from a light, it's going to glow the brightest. But I did find that these did glow for a decent period of time here in the room, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I specifically got these so it would be kind of a little visual piece. I will take these dice and I will set them over there, and they will just kind of glow in the goo in the dark. Now, so I'm not going to take these out and use these. I literally bought this as like a little, like, there's dice and goo, and that's cool. But then I obviously needed a set to use, and I wanted a nice new metal set, and I just loved the green and the gold. So that's kind of why I did what I did, which I don't know that it makes sense, but I did it. Okay, so the other thing that I'll say is, just from a review perspective, there were a little bit of some things that happened, and mine did encounter that as well, but I'm going to tell you that it all worked out perfectly fine, and maybe this might even help some folks if they run into any of these types of issues that are watching this video or end up buying one of these in the future. I think there's some opportunities maybe just to improve kind of how the dice are within the goo, as well as the little container that the dice are in, possibly. It's been a really hot summer, and I think what happened is these got shipped and they got super hot, and that goo did get a little bit more liquid in form. And I did notice these had little saran wraps on them when I opened them up. There was a little slight layer of goo that was on the outside of this container between the plastic and the container. Not a big deal. I just kind of scraped it off with my finger and just put it right back in. That was no problem at all. I didn't have an issue with that at all. But there was a situation, I think most of all of these dice, I can't see anything that's wrong with any of these. These all look perfect. But I did have one of my dice, my D20, that I'm not sure if it's the actual goo that's getting into the bag with the dice, because I don't know why this goo would damage these dice at all. So I don't know if it's that. But what I did notice is inside of the bag, it could get a little moisture. And again, it's probably because of fluctuations of temperature. You've got something that's got a bag, it's enclosed, it's got some air in there, it's down inside that goo, you've got temperature fluctuations and changes, and it produced moisture inside of that bag. Now, the strange thing of what it did, there was a little bit of goo that was in there as well, so I think it was the combination of like the goo and the temperature changes and the moisture, and I don't know if it would do it if it was just pure goo. No one really knows what just pure goo will do. But what happens And I have heard of this, and Norse Foundry actually did reach out and communicated this to their backers, that there was some areas that sort of like became what looked like corroded, or it was kind of ghosted out because that it sort of had a, I don't know if it what kind of reaction it had, but it reacted with the metal, and it looked like it damaged the die. And I had that on my D20. The whole top of my D20 had that. And it was interesting because I'd put it in water and I'd wipe it and it would go away, but then as soon as it dried, all that ghosting and all that would come back. And I found a way to easily fix that, and my die is now absolutely perfect. All I did was just hit it with a little WD-40 and let it sit there for about a minute and just kind of rubbed it a little bit, and then took a paper or a cloth towel and just wiped it right off. And it literally just kind of scraped and just wiped right off. So it's almost like it sort of created this little layer on the die, but it just rubbed right off, and now my dice are absolutely perfect. And it was only this one out of all of them that had that issue. So that's something that I will say. I found that, and it worked out great. Outside of that, I think the delivery, the productionalization of this, what you got, I thought it was an awesome idea. I think it was a low cost for what you get here, and the whole like concept of what you're getting here. With anything new and sort of innovative like this, I would say they're going to run into a couple hiccups here and there, and that's expectable. Like, you'll get that stuff with any type of Kickstarter delivery, whether it's missing components or broken components or whatever. So I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And if you do have that problem, use that tip that I gave, and I think you'll be in a good spot just like I am. Okay. Now, also, from a review perspective, I think this is something that's really fantastic from like a conventional perspective. So if you didn't back this on Kickstarter and get this, I could only imagine this will be a product they will continue with. I hope so. I don't know this for sure. Don't hold me to this. No one's told me this. But I could only imagine coming into a convention and seeing a booth, and on the back wall of that booth, a bunch of little cubes full of goo, and like some of them have a black light on them and they're glowing, and some of them are not. I mean, think about something that would draw you to a booth if you were interested in dice. Even if you weren't interested in dice, getting dice in a little goo cup, it's just from a product perspective, it's very innovative, and it's a very creative way of using these two mediums to kind of create a product for somebody to consume. So I really do think that's something that they should do if they're not already thinking about doing just that, and keeping the price point within that lower price point, kind of how they did the Kickstarter. I think these things would go like hotcakes. And I mean, why? Like, it's so cool. Like, you get this, you get the little box, you get the goo. I don't know what you're going to do with it. Like, what am I going to do with this? I don't know. Only time will tell. But I've also got an amazing set of, high quality metal dice, right? So, just awesome stuff out of Norse Foundry. I can't wait to see what kind of stuff they do next. I will be there at Gen Con to go to their booth and buy another set of dice. I like to get a set of dice every year from Norse Foundry. I do have a number of sets of Norse Foundry dice, as well as dice from other companies as well. And I will say the Norse Foundry ones are pretty good. So I can't wait to see what they do next. And with that, team, keep rolling them crits. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time.